Hey, thanks. Welcome to the In-Game Boss podcast. This is our special episode called the Mini Boss Chat. I like Mini Boss Chat better than Mini Boss Interview.
Okay.
So I'm going to call it Mini Boss Chat. And this is another special one we're doing for the fighting community. And, you know, people that are interested in the interview and know about Oklahoma and whatnot. And this is kind of just a chill, having an open discussion, but also kind of a little interview talking to some of the people that we want to talk to. And so, if you watched the first part, you watched Ricky, and now we're here with another person part of the fighting community.
Another luminary.
Luminary. Ooh, I like that word.
Yes.
Ooh, say that again.
Ooh. Yeah, luminary of the fighting community.
Ooh, man, I appreciate that, man.
Get that whoopee in there. No, Devin Cook. What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm good, bro. How are you, man? Thanks for having me on the show, man. I appreciate you guys. I know you were talking to me about this a while back, you know, like when I think I was on Ricky's podcast, and you were like, hey, man, like we're trying to lock this in, and yeah, so we're here, man. We made it.
Yeah,
you know I
ran into that whole thing on Facebook. Well, we'll talk about way later, but
okay.
But just the fact that triggered it, I'm like, you know what? It'd be interesting to hear, you know, both sides. Just hear both people from different point of views of stuff, because, you know, I think it's different point of views of a person running the show of the tournament, and then you got the people, you know, looking from the other side. So later on, I definitely want to talk about that. But no, I'm glad that you took the time to do it, to come on here and talk to us. I know that you're probably a busy person, right? You know, you got a family, you got a kid.
No kids, man. No
kids.
No kids.
I saw pictures of kids. On my research, I saw kids.
I got dogs, so I count my dogs.
Oh, okay. What did I see with a kid? Maybe I was looking at the wrong profile.
A dog wearing a kid costume or something.
Oh, man. I confused myself. Okay. Okay.
No kids, man. You know, but yeah, I definitely am busy, man. I mean, I try to stay you know, whether it's, you know, learning something new or you know, like doing something with the community, or just, you know, my job keeping me at work, you know, kind of like how everybody works. It's, you know, it's just, if it ain't one thing, it's another, you know?
So, all right. So we were talking about some games earlier that, I actually want to talk about this real quick. And I stopped playing Days Gone. I told you this. And I played Days Gone, and I got annoyed by it because I think the game is a little bit too big for the story that they was trying to do, and they were just trying to fill us up. So my question for you guys is, like, has there ever been a game that you played that just felt overly bloated, or it just felt like this game didn't need to be big, it just needed to be like just straightforward? Anything come to mind for that?
Yeah, but I'll let Coop.
Oh, how nice!
No,
you
you go ahead, man. Because I was thinking,
I'm about to probably piss a bunch of people off.
Ooh, internet.
I'm gonna say Skyrim.
Skyrim, okay.
I can appreciate the fact that there's so much to do and explore, but it felt so big that it almost felt like, to a degree, when I tried playing it 2-3 times, it just felt so directionless after the first couple of quests.
Would you argue maybe that's all Elder Scroll games?
Well, I did try Oblivion and played that for about 15 minutes, and I tried Elder Scrolls Online, which that has a different flavor because it kind of has to do the MMO. I mean, I guess that's the appeal, though. A lot of people just want to go and explore, but for me, I don't mind an open world. I mean, obviously, I like GTA. You know, I like the GTA games. I like Saints Row, stuff like that. See,
that's the difference, right? Like, the difference between open world and, I guess, a sandbox?
Yeah, that's
it's a little different. I don't know.
The GTA and those games, that walks a good line between open world and sandbox.
Okay,
you know, because especially later entries, you come across people who give you missions. You come across weird shit going on. But Skyrim, I don't know. I got overhyped by everybody talking about it like it was the second coming. But I played it
at the
a
time.
number of times,
I'm not going to say second coming, but at the time, it changed it up. It changed the game for a minute.
I won't deny it didn't change anything for me. I was like, oh, cool. All right, I killed a dragon. All right. God, I'm bored. I'm going to go play some Grand Theft Auto.
Is that all you did? You just chased dragons and you were like, bored.
I killed a dragon. I pissed off a giant. I pissed off a mammoth. I got turned into a rat vampire creature. I was like, I mean, you know.
I would argue that, though, compared to other open worlds, at least their side quests are a little entertaining.
True, but
and that's the only thing I would argue.
I'm just saying, that's the hill I'm going to die on. Skyrim, I wasn't feeling it. Maybe I'll give it another chance in the future one day, but so far it is 0-3.
Devin, can you raise the stakes on that?
Man, you know, like, only thing that I can really think of that comes to mind, games that I've probably played, I would probably say Path to Exile, man. I don't know if you guys have heard of that game.
Yeah. I heard. I never played.
But it's kind of like I like playing like Diablo and stuff like that. I was a big Diablo 2 fan back in the day, and like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot to that game. It's not a bad game, by any means. It's just one of those games where like the skill tree is so huge, man. You can just kind of go any way with those builds, and like anywhere and everywhere. Then the items and the socketing system and the it just got crazy, man. Like, it was pretty straightforward in terms of like quests and things like that, but just the build capabilities it was a little too much for me, man. So that's just kind of the first game I can think of when that question comes to mind.
Now, I've also been looking at the Skyward Sword Zelda game that just came out.
Oh yeah, for the Switch.
Yeah, and I talked about like how people are probably gonna eventually have to use the motion instead of using the joystick to play and everything like that. I think we're getting to a point where Zelda, to me, is still a household name, but I feel like some people out there are kind of slowly fading away from Zelda.
Ooh, controversial. Okay, yeah, my stuff is controversial.
Like no, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I just think that the people that like Zelda, they're going to be the diehard fans, but I don't hear newcomers come in and or casual people say like, I love Zelda. I don't hear. Maybe I'm not looking at the right place. I guess my question is like, has there ever been a series that you enjoyed and you just kind of slowly fell off from it?
Oh, easy there, cat. Oh, nope. Not.
I have a cat in here.
She has a cat.
The camera's cut. The camera's cut, so you can't see him. And
yeah,
he's gone. All right, it's gonna look weird for people that like to do that.
I swear, people, I don't have restless legs. I'm trying to avoid getting.
Pretty sure people watch me with my eyes. All right, why does he keep looking down? Okay, so, but Devin, is there any games that you got into and you kind of like just kind of fell off with it?
I would definitely. For me, it was. I think that game would have to be Gears of War.
Okay.
Like Gears of War. Like people just think I play fighting games, and I play a little bit of Halo, and to kind of piggyback on that question too, I think that's more so along the lines of just like, like games. I feel like a lot of games just aren't cut how they used to be. I feel like there was a lot more passion put in the games back then. You know what I mean? Than what today's market is in terms of just gaming. But there's not even just Gears. I could talk about Halo, SOCOM 2 back in the day, like the SOCOM series. That was a series that kind of just and eventually just trickled out. Man, there's a ton, man.
Rewinding back what you said about like the way it was till now is kind of interesting, right? Because the fact that without social media back in the day, it was one of those put up or shut up. Like, think about it. Like when you had to put a game out, there was no way to put DLC or patches stuff. It was like, we got to make sure this game is great when we put it out.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see what you're talking about there.
Yeah, and also you talk about the passion that you could just tell a game was made with passion or a lot of care. The balance between that and publisher or top level exec interference in games. I was actually watching a couple videos on YouTube about the why are EA and Activision like considered so evil? Where did it all begin? And it began from disgruntled developers, who knew how the sausage was made. They didn't want to make the sausage that way. They wanted to make it a different way. And then they eventually went public, introduced money. You get board, CEO, board members. And all of a sudden, now we don't have EA Big.
Somehow you were going to get that into the show.
Yeah, no. We don't, now we don't have SSX anymore. And we don't have Def Jam, a new Def Jam game. And we don't have fun games that take risks, experiment. Devin, have you ever played Def Jam Fight for New York?
Man, I played all of it, and that was, another series like Def Jam, Fight for New York, and then like Icon came out, and then the game just kind of flatlined when that game came out.
Icon killed it, but
yeah.
But not in a good way.
But still, games like that, hell, even some of the EA Sports games like Fight Night Round 2, SSX, Burnout. Those games back in the early to mid 2000s, you could tell that they just had fun just throwing all these ideas into it and taking risks. New IPs. That's probably why we're seeing more. We're liking more of the indie games like Hades and Celeste and things like that, because these guys can take risks and bring certain ideas.
And
they
have to do something to make themselves stand out.
Exactly. I'm playing through Katana Zero. Off and
have
on.
fun with that.
It's
definitely a trial and error, and they'll make sure of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I that certain way that games were made have fallen off a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, just look at the way they package it to you, man. I mean, like, Cyberpunk is a perfect example of that. You know, like, these guys knew that game. I mean, I don't care what these guys say, man. How do you not know that game was not running on PS4 before release? Like, how do you not know that? Like, they knew what was going on, but the problem was, you see, when you got shareholders and people that are involved in those companies, you know, like, people are looking to make money. You don't want to tell nobody, hey, well, we're not going to make money. We're not going to make sales. That's why you've seen all the commercials. That's why you've seen all the merch, you know, like, hey, we had a Cyberpunk PS4 and it doesn't even run on the Cyberpunk. But, like, people were just that excited about it, you know, and they packaged it and they sold it. And then they said, okay, well, we could have had more time. And honestly, you know, like, I think just the way the game was, I mean, we're just now getting to a point where Cyberpunk is playable. I mean, that's how it feels. But
no, it's still not recommended.
So, you know, definitely, you know. But that just goes to show you, like, you know, like, obviously, you know, it's like taking the pizza out of the oven before the pizza's ready. You know what I mean? And that was kind of that what happened in that situation. And rather than helping the company, you know, you pissed a lot of people off. And yeah, man, you know, like, it just wasn't ready, so why put it out? You know,
they're being sued. Like, they're being sued in some cases.
I am getting annoyed by these, and we talked about it in one of my episodes about these director's cuts, right? These new remasters, so people can just rebuy the package again, with just added stuff to it. It's not even a director's cut. It's like more of an extended cut. But regardless, but just the fact that, like, they don't want you to go backwards. They want you to go forward. And we keep getting it. We're going to get a new Last of Us. There's going to be a new edition of Last of Us. So you don't...
A remake of the first one.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, just think about Grand Theft Auto. How long has that series been around? GTA 5.
We've had GTA 5 on PS3.
This game was on Xbox 360. We went from Xbox 360 to the PS4 to the new Xbox to the new PS5. I mean, like, it's just been forever, and they're continuing to make money off of these people. And, like, that's the one thing. It's unfortunate about gamers, I feel like, in a way. I mean, like, they don't really understand this. I mean, like, to me, the best way I can, you know, people that follow me or people that, you know, like, play the games I play, the best way I can describe it is in fighting games. Just think about this, right? You get this game, you know, you'll get these base characters, whatever. Okay, we'll come out. Here's the first season of this game. We're gonna have this move. What works, what people like, what they don't like. All right, the next season is gonna come around. We're gonna add some more characters. We're gonna change some frames around. We're gonna give you some stuff, and then we're just gonna charge you another. You're on top of your $59.99 that you paid to get the game. We're gonna charge you another MK11, perfect example, $49. Another $40 for some DLC, or Tekken. You know, another $39 for that DLC. And you do it for 4 seasons. So, like, you know, instead of paying that initial $59.99, and I get it, it's DLC, they got to make their money some type of way. If you're going to sell me something that's $100, $200 plus dollars later on down the line, the more I'm, you know, if I'm serious and I'm a competitor, then, you know, in the same sense, I better get good net code. I better get, you know, like, just the things that, you know, like, we should be getting, you know, spending that money. You know what I mean? I feel like we're not asking for much, and it's not like you guys aren't making the money in these companies.
Paying for frame data.
Yeah. I just hate the fact that you have to rebuy something that's been in the game for so long. And let's take, for instance, like, I think it's weird later down the line that, like, for Street Fighter, that I'm buying Blanca, the guy that's been at the beginning of it all. Like, I'm rebuying him. Like, it should be all new characters, but I'm rebuying classics.
Yeah,
it's a weird way.
It's wrong, but they do it because, like Devin said, gamers are going to do it,
and they're going to do it.
And that's the problem with we talk about this all in the show. We talk about how gamers are complaining, but they are the problem at the same time. Like, you're complaining about all this, but you still buy into it, so you're not showing them. And that's what we go into. You are the 5% of the people that complain and don't get the game. I'm one of those people. Like, I can complain all I want. Still going to make money because people want to give themselves an excuse to buy the game still. Like, well, it's the only sports game out there, so I got to get mad. It's like, no, you don't, but you're going to.
Well, voting, the whole phrase voting with your wallet.
It doesn't work.
It does
not work.
It does. I mean, you're voting your own vote.
Yeah.
But going for change. I mean, for example, Devin, have you bought all the Tekken 7 DLC?
Everything but the last season. The last season, I was like, enough is enough, you know. But that was just me as a somebody who had been playing the game since the first season, and just like the this is just my personal opinion, but like the more I got on, the more I started playing the game, I'm just realizing like, man, these guys, like there's just a lot of issues on this game that they're not fixing, but like we keep putting these characters out, we keep putting all this just, like they're not addressing what we want, and they're trying, like we had a pandemic, I'll give them that I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, like a lot of studios probably didn't have all hands on deck because COVID just really affected everything across the board, but in the same sense, it's like, hey, okay, well, if that's the case, don't be trying to sell me DLC. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's insane. It's insane. I mean, like, and it's hard. They don't make it fair for people that really are trying to learn these games, because like at the very least, I'm like, if people can't afford maybe to buy these DLCs or have to wait till these Steam sales to get the DLC packs, at least have it convenient to where like you can try these characters in practice mode. Let me see what I'm playing against. You know what I mean?
You
like,
can't learn the matchup.
Yeah, let me lab at the very least. You know what I mean? But they don't even try to like compliment their players or anything or any type of form. Whether it just be going to Tekken and going to the practice lab and just having like, okay, let me get the basic moves. Like, you know what I mean? Like just going to the Tekken the combo, the combo system, the punishment training, and just being able to pull that character up. Like, I think they should do something like that, but that's just me. It'll probably never happen, but
no, probably not, because
I mean, we see examples of it, like Virtua Fighter 5. That basically, if you have a PS4 and PS Plus, you have Virtua Fighter 5, or you could get it for free. But I went through the training mode, and it was a very robust training mode. It was robust in, breaking throws and moving to this side, moving to that side, moving down. Even though you only have 3 buttons, kick, punch, and guard, and you use them, it goes deep. It goes in deep. It goes in with the frames. And it's like, Virtua Fighter 5's been out for a long, long time. And even Virtua Fighter 4 had the same kind of in-depth training mode. I can't speak to the netcode because I heard the netcode still, But still, it's more welcoming to new players, or at least it treats new players, like they've never played the game before, instead of piling legacy information on.
Okay.
So I feel you there. It's like, why? I don't know. Do you think this is a problem with more just Japanese developers? Like, I think the only Western fighting game I could think of is Killer Instinct.
Man, I don't even think it's just Japanese. I mean, it's just all across the board. I mean, look, these guys, they're just here to make money. At the end of the day, we can say like, oh man, it's a whole different game. Back when those fighting games were coming out early, like, the early Marvel vs. Capcom 2, just think about all these games, these fire games back in the day. Like I said, it was just that you could feel the passion in the game. Like I just, somebody that's just played for a while, like I really don't just get moved like I used to playing games, and I'm like, I don't know if that's just me getting older or it's just a new era coming along. Now we're seeing the battle royale era. Like that's what these kids are playing, and like we just. It was different when we were growing up.
Do you think that fighting games nowadays are really towards casuals and then hardcore second?
Yeah, I mean, like in a way. I mean, like you have to market it in such a way to where like you have to get the younger gen and like new players interested. You got to sell it some type of way. Yeah, so like, bloods. Everybody's like, I miss the old way. Like, and it's just you can put that to comparison to any TV series, movies, like old Star Wars fans. I like the old Star Wars. Well, like you got to find a way to bring the new kids in to appreciate Star Wars. So like you have to see it in that business aspect. So, that's just the way I look at it. Like, hey, well, I remember playing the old Tekkens. I remember how fun they used to be. And I mean, they're still fun, don't get me wrong, but it's just, they definitely have dumbed it down to where I feel like the entry level, the games they still have their deepness to them, but they kind of ease up in terms of execution and making things a little bit easier for players to come in and try to learn, like characters like the Leroys and Falconrons and like those type of characters, just it invites those new players.
What would you say would be your dream bonus character in any game? Like you could pick any game, and what would that bonus character be in? You know what I mean? It could be anybody. It could be from movies. It could be from an anime. I don't care. You already know what I'm gonna say. Yeah. You already know what I'm gonna say.
You mean like like a guest character? Or
yeah.
Man, I would like to, dude. Man, that is tough. God, man.
You want to hear mine? You want to hear mine?
Yeah, let me hear it.
All right. So you argue that I don't think he would be in that game. You said another game he would be in. I said shown up. I say shown up be in one of these games from
Last Dragon.
Last Dragon. Yeah,
Okay.
and I say Tekken?
No. You said Mortal Kombat.
I said Mortal Kombat. Yes, I thought you Mortal Kombat because the whole like the red hand and the building up, and you said Tekken.
Yeah, I said Tekken because of his fighting style, and I just can't see him doing a fatality like RoboCop or Rambo.
Okay, but I don't know why I get to see him like a lot of people in the background just saying shown up. Who's the master? Like, I think he'd be awesome bonus character. What about you, Drawn?
I think, really, this was a case of timing. I think instead of Noctis, they should have put Tifa.
Oh, okay.
As a fight. Tifa or what's his face from Final Fantasy VI? Locke. Or whomever.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude who suplexed a train.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been interesting. But I don't have any other like guest characters that really jump out at me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. Nobody really. It doesn't really stick out to me.
Mortal Kombat's done damn near all of them.
I will say that though. I do like how like a lot of these games are starting to have like other representation in their games. Like from Tekken, you got Akuma. Not a lot of people liked Akuma in Tekken, but the idea was dope. Or Geese Howard. And then like putting Kazuya in Super Smash, and just kind of having a little bit of everything, and just kind of the fighting game community banding together, like I think there's a lot of that is missing, like a lot of those, not so much with the scene, but I think like the developers, just, trying to include each other and just stay tight knit, because we're a tight community, like it's a small, we're like the redhead stepchild of like the FPS and everything else like that. We're probably at the bottom of the totem pole, I would say.
I think it's sad that we don't see a lot of Nintendo famous characters in fighting games anymore. What's the last time you saw like another Nintendo character in a fighting game other than Link from Soul Calibur?
That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is Nintendo's really protective of their property.
Yeah, they're just that's just kind of the thing. But you see like I said, shout out to the guy that I forget his name, the Smash developer. Like that was really dope.
Sakurai.
From having like Ryu, Ken,
Terry,
Kazuya. He knows what it is. You know what I mean? Like to me, that the roots of that run deep. You know what I mean? That's just like that's not just like Super Smash, but like he was probably growing up in the arcade playing these characters.
Okay, so final. Do there's a final one? There's one more left.
Yeah, DLC.
One more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you want it to be?
I say just throw a curveball and throw Earthworm Jim.
You're gonna tell me? You gonna steal mine? You gonna steal my pick?
Oh, I stole your pick.
I've been talking about Earthworm Jim all the time on the show. You know damn well I've been talking about Earthworm Jim.
Okay, fine. Master Chief.
Yeah. All right, cool. Earthworm Jim for me. What about you, Devin? Any?
Man, I don't know. Nothing really that comes to mind. I thought the Kazuya was dope. I thought that was pretty
Watch it be
sick.
Waluigi. Everybody's been asking for Waluigi for years. Watch it's going to be him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to choose as this final DLC. Honestly, I everybody's shifted to talking about Nickelodeon's All-Stars, that Smash game.
Oh, boy.
It's supposed to be like Smash, but with Nickelodeon
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because, like, I heard Ren and Stimpy's in it, so that's gonna be
Powder Toast Man's definitely in it.
Yes, he is. He is. Yes.
But that's going. They know who they're going to appeal to with.
Oh yeah, it's
anybody
nostalgia.
Between watched Nickelodeon between 1991 and like 2005.
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. The fighting games. I was telling you about this earlier before we started, but. I got to the point where if I have to be in a certain mindset to play a fighting game now, because mixture of the net code, mixture of just how other players are online, it's just not the same as offline. Devin, you've dealt with that, right? That kind of you like fighting games, but you just don't want to. You're not feeling it. You're not feeling the heart in playing it anymore.
Like if you've ever came by a stream and you've heard the frustration, sometimes I don't mean to be frustrated, but I'm just like, dude, like I'm frustrated, man. But I think that happens to all of us. And I would agree. It's just really hard to. I mean, COVID, man. Like that was just like the big factor for the fighting game community, man. Like we were, I feel like, just getting to a point out here in Oklahoma where the wheels were starting to turn, and like we were getting some momentum. And yeah, man, COVID just kind of came out of left field and took everything, and it was just trying to keep the scene alive in the offline and keep people's spirits up and all that. It was hard. It was hard just to keep all that going, and because everybody liked playing the online, well, offline, excuse me, and then online, it's just like, but we did what we could, and I feel like now everything starting to open back up, and the vaccines being kicked out. Everything is slowly but surely starting to get into motion, and I think once people get a little bit of heat under them and see like just an event again, and interact with people and have that interaction, I think things will definitely start to start rolling again.
Okay, so before we go down your road, because I do want to ask you, what got you into fighting games, and then get into kind of the meat of why you're on here. There's one thing I have to ask you, because I told you I was going to ask him on the show. I have to ask him. The first time I heard about you was from Ricky, and it was during the time when I was getting my podcast going, and he told me, hey, there's another guy doing a podcast, and it was you. and I was following it for a while, and then it just stopped. I want to know
here we go.
What happened. No, it has to be talked about, because no one else has talked about it. No one ever came up. No one ever posted like, what happened to the Koopa podcast? What happened to all this? I'm the only one, I guess. I'm the only one that noticed.
This is your Half-Life 3.
This is my Half-Life 3. Yeah. I want to know what's made you start it, and what happened to kind of put that on a halt.
I got you, man. No, I definitely can do that for you. I'll answer that question here. Yeah, so the Koopa Keep podcast, man, that was really, I mean, it's dope. I mean, I plan on bringing the show back. I do. But like life kind of happens sometimes. And like I was just recording, man. Like I was just banging episodes out. Like this week we'd get him, I'd like throw that up, and it was just getting to the point where like I was cranking them. And then, kind of like, the whole pandemic thing started happening, and like, it just kind of took a lot out of me, because I was going to school. I was going to college at the time. I mean, I still am. Like, I took a break, but like, I'm, just getting back into the rhythm. And, I was getting behind in school. Just like, trying to find a job, because I was just more or less like, hey, well, like, school's cool, but like, I'm like getting my VA on the side, but it just wasn't enough. Like I was a veteran, so like I was going to school off the VA, and I was like, I need something a little bit more stable. So, I just started getting back into the workforce, and like life just started happening. And now, like I feel like just now, I'm getting situated to the point where it's like, okay, like, you have to get situated. Sometimes you have to put those things on hold and get, you're just life situated sometimes. And that's kind of what that just was for me, man. It was just me. I had to, like, even from the fighting game community and all that, like a lot of people, reach out to me like, hey man, like, when's this event? And I'm like, hey man, I'm not a TO, like, I'm just, I have to tell people that sometimes, but I try to help out on both sides, whether it be the player, the TO aspect, like I'm pretty laid back, pretty chill with that. But even I talk to my boys, Kellen, shout out to Kellen War Peace. Like, sometimes I had to like message him, and I told him like, hey man, I have to just step back for a minute. Like I've put, like before we even get into all that, like I've put a lot of time into the FGC out here in Oklahoma, man. Like a good 5-6 years, and I just felt like, and I was telling him, I just felt like I had to take some time for me, what I mean? Like just for me and do what I needed to do. So the podcast is coming back, man. I just, like I said, just got situated. I'm like I said, I'm closing on a house at the end of this month with my lady. So, like I'm trying to make some moves here, man, and just get situated, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So how did it even trigger you to do a podcast in the first place, and why fighting games?
Man. So like, like, I don't know, man, like the whole FGC thing, like it kind of just fell in my lap, honestly. Like I had just been here for a while. For people that don't know, I've been in the scenes for since about 2014, 2015. I've been here for a minute. This just isn't something that was just like, hey, well, and there's people that's been here longer than me, granted, but like, I mean, consistent, like from every tournament, every year to like going to Tulsa and doing Tokyo Tulsas, like to support and like back and traveling and doing this, I put a lot of time into this out here. And, so like, the commentator thing that got started, and I would commentate, and like people just would tell me like, man, you kind of just have a knack for talking to people, man. And like, I never thought anything of it. I'm just like, hey, like I just try to be myself, man. Just be yourself and just do you. And then one of my homies was just like, hey, man, we should get a podcast going. And like before it was going to be kind of like a group thing. We would start out and we were doing the group, and then I was just like, well, let me just try to take it and like just make my own thing, do my own thing. There was no disrespect to those guys or anything like that. It was just, hey man, like, like I think I could have my own show and do it. And, just you telling me about that, like, man, when's the show? Like, you're not the first person to tell me that. And like, it's like, damn, like you really had something that people were really digging,
Well, I was going to get you on the show when you were going to get to the 10th episode, then I was going to feature you as a guest on the show and help kind of get the name out there. But then it just died. And I'm like,
yeah,
well, that changed everything.
Yeah, man, everybody just, for real, everybody was hitting me up like, neck scratching, like, when's the next episode, man? I'm like, damn, like it just kind of sucked. It was one of those things that just like you fumbled the ball. It was just like there's just no other thing for it. I could have kept it going, but just life happens sometimes, man. And it's not so much sometimes about how you fall off the horse, it's just how you get back on it. And so like that's the thing, man. I'm looking to get back on the Cooper Key podcast, man, and just have those conversations because like I enjoyed doing it. I thought it's just cool. It's cool to just have these conversations with people and just kind of see where they're coming from and how their mind ticks, so.
Is there anything you want to do different coming around? I mean, that's probably way far ahead than what you thought. Yeah, you probably haven't really fully thought how you want to do it. But do you think you would change some stuff that you did in the first round?
Yeah, man, definitely. I think I kind of want to go to the video and audio aspect of it. I mean, like just to kind of to have the video and the audio because we were just doing like pure audio. Like I would record. But the process was hard, like I would like have to compress it, you know what I'm saying, get the levels right, and then I have to convert it, and then you got to upload it, so it was just a lot of steps in between that. I'd rather just have it to where like, hey, I just record the episode, and then like at the very least I can just shoot the video up, and then like can turn around on the back end and just have the Spotify upload and kind of go that way, but and just have it live, like when I'm doing those episodes, just do it live to maybe have the the Twitch fan base or the Facebook fan base or whatever. I think Streamlabs just dropped like some new software that like that enables that. It's kind of like a podcast software. So I'm like I wanted to give that a try. I'm like, well, that's just in time, So yeah, I mean more to come on that, but definitely some things coming different this second time around, man. And I'm excited. I'm anxious, man. I'm just trying to get in my new house and get situated, but it is coming, man. There's a lot of players out here I want to talk to, give them their shine. Just a little bit of everybody around the board.
Yeah, I just want to see more growth in the video game podcasts in Oklahoma. So far I just found out the other day about another one, but but there's not a lot out there because I want to work on collaboration with more people in Oklahoma for podcasting for video games. And so and when I saw that one at the time, I was like, well, there's another one. Now we got something else. So
yeah. And I appreciate you just coming by, even like checking out my podcast, man. That's just sick to hear, people just, hey man, like I was digging your podcast. I'm like, damn, man, I didn't think anybody was listening.
You'd be surprised, right? I think that's how you feel anybody that starts a show. You just don't know until you have that person say, "Hey, man, when are you gonna bring another one?" You're like, "Oh, yeah, you care."
It was just surreal. Like
it's more lurkers.
It's those surreal moments like that. Like just the other day, I was at round one. The new arcade.
Yeah.
And I'm around the Tekken machines, man. A guy came up to me. I forget his name, man, off the top. He's in the Oklahoma community, but like I didn't know him, and like. He's just asking me, like, how do you wave dash? And I'm like, man, I can't even. I'm trying to, like, explain it. I'm not even playing a Mishima, but he's like, what's your name? And I told him, I'm like, they call me Coop, man, but my name's Devin. And for him to just be like, oh, man, I know you. I've seen you. I'm like, it was kind of like one of those moments, like, damn, like, it's just like, it's just kind of like surreal, you know what I mean? Like, damn, like, people really. Like you don't think when you don't think people are paying attention, they're paying attention, man. Yeah. And that's just like the thing. You got to keep going. Definitely, man. It's just one of those things,
Did you have a question?
Actually, I was going to say that mentioning round one. So There was a couple of I can't remember his name, but he did mention in the OK FGC group, I think early this week or last week, he was asking, what can round one do, or why isn't there more? Aren't there more people of the fighting game community coming to round one, the fighting game section? Because he's like, I just see it deserted all the time. And I mean, I answered and said, hey, I don't play a lot of the 2D, but the Tekken machine is way out of date. It's missing a significant number of people, and some of the sticks need to be repaired. What do you think, if and anything, would need to happen to get more of the fighting game community, going to like round one, the closest we could get to like a in-person arcade scene?
I think it's gonna take a lot of the community. The community is gonna have to just get together and hey, like that those type of places, like those aren't just places you just kind of pull up to and then just expect people to be there on the arcades, the cabinets. It's just not that type of environment. Like why do you? People that play fighting games, usually 9 times out of 10, they're just going to play in the comfort of their home, whether they have friends over or, like a lot of these cabinets aren't even with the newest, DLC. So like what's kind of in it for them? So I think you kind of have to have something, round one has to present something that's going to, kind of bring those FGC players in the door, whether it be a tournament, like somebody, they're just running a little small tournament, having a nice pot bonus, and just playing different fighting games. You have to, I don't know, but so just something to that effect, to where like we can get the FGC to say, hey, well, let's go and support these guys, and like everybody reach out and like just plan an event. Whether you bring your girlfriend or your kids, or there's just not, it's not just fighting game cabinets there. I mean, there's pool tables, there's TV, there's bowling. Games, there's everything there. So I mean, like you have to kind of get it to where like I would think like you can get the FGC, like not just them involved, but their family out as well. Those type of events.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, from what you were saying, the biggest thing is people are going to ask, well, what's in it for me to spend gas and spend money leaving to play a game there that I probably already have at home and I can play, for free. And yeah. I out of all of that you mentioned, like events, it wouldn't even have to be like super elaborate tournaments or even casual tournaments like RDR, or even something big as King of Sticks or Super Bit Wars, but just hey, round one we have every Saturday or every Sunday or whatever, every other
just
Sunday.
Like a meetup, like just playing everything. I played DDR a few weeks ago. I was there. I'd played DDR since I was like 15. I'm like, man, that was fun. Like I'd like to have just a group of guys that play DDR. I'd come up here and play with you guys. Like it just comes down to the community setting that up, man, and like really just, hey guys, like we're meeting up on Saturday at round one. Like if you guys want to come, we're going to be here like from this time to this time. And that's how you get that going, man. That's really how you get that going. Just really trying to drive that home in the communities.
Do you feel it's up to an individual in the community to step up, or do you think that should be something that comes from round one and then disseminates from there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of both. I'd say on both sides. You got to have, just those, I wouldn't even call them reps in the community, because a lot of times out here, like, people will get mad for you just trying to represent something, because then in their mind sometimes they take it as, well, like this guy's just in it for the clout, or this guy just wants the attention, and it's not even like that. Like we have to come together as a community and realize that like we're stronger in numbers. Like ships move whenever the sails are just like the waves are all in one. They're just like one way moves, and then it's not going to cut it. We all got to move. So I think a lot of that just comes from just the community. Like just, hey guys, like, you got to put yourself out there in a sense, and not everybody's going to be for everybody, but like, hey, it's cool. We're just a scene. We all like to do the same thing, and I just wish we kind of had a little bit more of that in Oklahoma, man. I think there's like not a lot of that. I mean, there is slowly, but from the 5 years ago where I was first here, that wasn't even the case, man, like at all. I mean, it's a lot better than what it used to be.
Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Lawton, man. That's where I grew up, Lawton, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Because last I remember, when there were some events or anything, you were still holding Lawton down.
Oh yeah, man. Like me, it was like a dude. Like that's how it really first started. It was me. Shout out to my man Light Skin Avatar, my man Bear Claw. He's been on Ricky's podcast these past few weeks.
Yeah, I saw him on TO.
Yeah, it was him. It was us three, and then like Big D. Man, a lot of those guys, and a lot Brandon B Myth. Like he's not really around anymore. He's just a working man. But yeah, like for the long time when MKX was out, man, we were just holding Oklahoma down, and we would come out to Tulsa, and we would come out to Oklahoma City, man. And Lawton at that time was just running MKX out here. We were, like that was just Lawton. Like if you wanted to play MK, you had to go to Lawton, and we would just come out, just play, and I mean, like the love. I think the love from that, just like with being with my friends, and like, man, we were like, holding it down out here, and like just traveling everywhere, and that's kind of what really got me into the scene, man, was just, having the homies and going to just compete. And, it just, I fell in love with it.
So I haven't been to a lot of tournaments. And if you want to hear more information, you can listen to Ricky's video of how I came to discover all of them. But I never necessarily saw you there. And maybe I just wasn't at the right time at the right place or something like that. But I'm kind of curious, Devin, for people that are kind of maybe new to the fighting game community in Oklahoma, and the fact that your resume showed that you've been in it for a very long time, from Lawton to commentating, all this stuff. My question for you is, how strong do you think your name is in the community of the fighting game?
Man, I mean, I would be boasting if I said I wasn't good. You know what I mean? I think I've put a lot of time in. I'm not saying I'm like the next, like pro or anything like that. But I mean, in terms of here, I mean, I was that guy, like when I was first showing up to my locals, I was just getting curb stomped. You know what I mean? Like from from a lot of people out here, like. I mean, this is when I was trying to, snake edge with Brian. Anybody that plays Tekken knows. I was doing snake edges and thinking it was the normal. And like I'm playing guys like Rainbow and he's blocking it every time, launching. I'm like, damn, how does he do that? Like I didn't. I was like, I was in it, but like I had to. Me and like a good friend of mine, David, like we were just taking those beatings. But like the more I kept losing, the more I was just interested. Like. It just fueled me. Like I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna beat these guys the next week, and like it's just like a sickness almost you get, and then like me and him like every day, Monday through Friday, like we were putting in hours after work playing this game, weekend the whole time, it'd just be labbing, studying, playing, and eventually it got to the point where like it paid off. This is like my first legit Tekken I've competed in, so. Before Tekken, I was playing MKX heavy, and that was like, I feel like the first official fighting game that I learned frame data and everything on, and kind of just translated it to this game once it came out. So, I think skill wise, I think I hold my own. I'm definitely not the best out here.
What about your name in general, other than your fighting game? What about your name in general in the fighting game community? Like when people walk in and they hear the word Devin Cook
or Koopa G.
My apologies. My apologies. Let's get that right. How many times people heard that name? Does that name shine really bright?
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I don't. I just show up. Like, hey, man, what's up, Coop? I just want everybody.
You don't hear whispers. You don't hear whispers like, oh, is this him?
Nah, I don't think it's ever been. I don't think it's ever been like that. And if it has, like, that's cool, I guess. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just try to be that guy that comes in and everybody can just know they can come talk to me. You know what I mean? Like whether it's about whatever, you know what I mean? Like, hey, that's just overall just a genuine cool dude. Like I shoot the shit with everybody in the scene. I'm a real laid back type of guy. I think I more so try to put my energy towards like the camaraderie in the scene. I feel like I try to act like the glue out here, and just get people on the same page and like, all right, guys, let's like do this. Let's build, let's grow. It's easy to tear something down, but like let's try to build this up, man. And that's just pretty much it, man. I think my name is a name where people expect to come out and see me, like whenever there's an RDR or something like that, because I just like Jersey man, just like all these other guys that've been out here, and I just the faces, and once you just start to see those faces, then you just like that's him,
So how would you say would help get more casual people to become regulars at these events?
I would think just having fun. You know what I mean? Like it's like my man Kellen made a really good analogy earlier. Like you want to have that environment to where it's like you don't feel like you're like under pressure playing in a tournament, and you just get steamrolled so hard it makes you just not even want to come back. Like, oh well, all right, like I didn't learn anything that wasn't fun. I got my ass beat. You know, you got to have that. Hey, like that environment to where like, hey man, just like come out, join this Discord. You know, you got to promote. I tell people all the time that come talk to me, hey man, we got a Discord, Oklahoma FGC. You can join it. There's guys in there all the time that want to play. These guys will level you up if you're really trying to take your game to that level. You know, they're all trying to learn. Let's just build. Let's learn together. You know, iron sharpens iron. And I try to just apply that, you know, like to the new faces. Like, you know, 'cause you don't want them to just show up to an event and just feel like that outcast. I mean, I think that's just the worst part is showing up feeling like an outcast and like, oh, I don't really know anybody here. And like, in a sense, it feels like, okay, well, they kind of got their own little cliques out here, so I don't know really where I fit in. You know what I mean? And I don't want it to be like that. I want it to just be like, hey, man, we're all here to learn. If you're really trying to learn the game, then hey, here's some people over here trying to learn the game with you. So, like, let's do that.
Okay. It's interesting because I asked Ricky the same question, and, you know, I said that it has to be half and half. Half of it has to be that person has to be willing to try to communicate with people. You can't just let them bring you all in and do all the work. You have to bring that 50% in, and the other 50% is them bringing you in and helping you out with the situation you're at the games that you enjoy.
There has to be a want on both sides. You know, you know, I was on the interview I was telling about my first time at an RDR, much less discovering that there is actually a fighting game scene in Oklahoma, was just a few years back. You know, and back when it was at DZ Comics, one of the events at DZ Comics. And my first exposure was hearing, and it turns out it was Biggs, yelling out that there was a bounty on Raybone or whoever could knock him out.
Shout out to my boy Biggs.
Yeah, that was my first exposure. I was like, oh wow, this shit's serious around here. You know, I was just playing Tekken. I've been playing Tekken since Tekken 2, and just screwing around. I knew a few moves for some characters here and there, but not deep into the frame data. And I was like, I'll show up. It's down the road. I'll show up, play some games or whatever. I didn't even think I needed to bring my own controller, or anything like that. And I just got stomped, like horribly stomped. And I will admit, it discouraged. I was very discouraged.
I think that's one of the things newcomers have to realize, that you can't expect to come out winning on your first day. To me personally, like you going, I think you have to lose on your first day going in.
The losing part is fine. I'm fine with losing as long as I feel I've learned something. You know, as long as I feel I've learned something, or at the very least, you know, had some fun. I got stomped so bad. I was like,
but do you think that scares away casual people because they just afraid they not so much losing, but how bad they lose? Do you think that mentality is already going in there?
I definitely think it does, because, you know, in their mind, they may. It's just like almost just imagine, you know, like just being that casual, or that guy that's trying to learn a game. You're in the practice mode. You're trying the same combo all day for hours, and you finally get it, and then you go, all right, man, I'm gonna go try to apply this, you know, and then like it just like your whole game plan when you get there just gets blown out the water. It's not going the way you're going. People are behind you watching you going, damn, you know, like you're bodied, you know, like it's just the FGC, it's the environment. It's that environment, like, ooh, you know, like get mixed. Oh, you got washed, you know, like you're hearing this stuff and you're like, oh man, like, you know, like you're just like, you're sweating, your palms, you're like, man, these people watching me, like, yeah, like it definitely, I feel like that feeling definitely can be a feeling, but at the same time, you know, as a player, you have to learn very early on to get out of that comfort zone, because like you're in your own backyard essentially. Like we're in Oklahoma, so like these are the guys you're going to be playing on the regular, learning from, you know, growing from, being with. It's cool to have rivalries. It's cool to have that, you know, little in-state rivalry. Like, you know, that's just me and Davidism. Like that's my rival. Like, because that's who I came up playing the game with. So me and him just back and forth.
So that's your rival. Is that? Are we dropping it now?
Like
that's your rival.
Rivalry, you know?
Okay, just want to make sure.
I was about to say,
you know, like I'm like me and him. You know, when we play, I'm talking shit. He knows what it is. You know, like, and I don't expect less from him. You know, like I want you know, you got to bring the best out in somebody. Like, that's how you get somebody better. You know, like you got to find what drives them. And that's just me. Like if I'm on a roll, I'm talking shit. Like who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? You know, and like there's nothing wrong with that.
That's true.
You have a rival, Tron?
No, I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have a rival. I've told everybody, it's like, yo, I want all the smoke. When I play anybody, I want them to bring everything, because that's the only way that I really feel I'm getting to apply and learn.
Just bring that. Just have that confidence in yourself, man. That's just the big thing. Be confident. Like don't ever doubt yourself. Don't ever be scared to put yourself out there and be scared to lose, man. Like you're gonna lose. I remember when I was at KIT like a few years ago. I played Fredell. He's an Alyssa player. I got bodied on stream. Thousands of viewers. It was bad, you know. And I'm like, but I wasn't like just like, oh man, like that's the end for me. I'm just like, damn, man. I just gave him his props. Like, hey, you had it on lock, man. Like I just got to come back. I got to learn, you know. But don't let it discourage you, you know. In that sense, like just level up, man, and get better. Just get better.
Yeah. What game would you say at the tournament? Let's say for like, okay, let's say we'll call myself John Q, like every other normal person, right? If I was told to try out a fighting game for my first time going into a tournament there, which one is the best one? Would Street Fighter be the best one for me to start practicing to try out first? Would it be King of Fighters? Would it be Tekken? Would it be Soul Calibur? Does it matter? What do you guys think?
I think just play what you like, man.
Okay.
I mean, like you're gonna naturally gravitate to what you like. If you're feeling it, you know you're gonna be feeling it because you'll just be randomly like, hey, I feel like playing this game. Let me pop it in. I'm interested. You know, like I like this character. And yeah, that's just the thing. Like finding the game you like playing first, and then from there, just finding the character. I mean, like I feel like everybody that plays a character, it resonates with them somehow. You know, whether like they have like a catchphrase or, you know, me, I play Brian Fury, so him just throwing the beams in the helicopters. That's just how I'm feeling on the game. Like breaking the glass. Like let's go. You know what I mean? Like let's get it. I like that mentality. So yeah, I think like a big thing is just finding the character that you really like, whether it's in the, you know, King of Fighters, Samsho, Tekken, so on and so forth. Those characters I feel like seem to attract you more than the actual game.
What about you, John?
I would say find a fighting game or play around with a fighting game that you're going to have fun with, because you are inevitably going to get stomped, so you might as well get stomped playing something you have fun with.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons for all of my, you know, the L's I've taken in Tekken, I still have fun to a degree, especially when I'm playing with people I know, you know, and even in the OKCFGC group, then the voice chat, you know, we're just talking, we're just gabbing while playing, you know, we just talk about any and everything, or talk about what's going on the screen while we're playing. And I mean, I can't relate to the character intro because I'm still specializing in Josie, and she's either crying or she's kicking butt and saying she's got this. But it's just, you got to play something that you're going to have fun with, or at least have a spark of passion for. Okay. Otherwise, you know, what's the point? I want to add though that I think, in my opinion, that would help casuals want to stay. I mean, aside from them wanting to stay, is not feeling lost. I think that's one of the things I'm kind of glad RDR and stuff moved away from DZ Comics, because it was way too small. It was way easy to get kind of lost in the shuffle. You couldn't really sit back or stand back and watch people play and talk to other people. You know, it just felt way too crowded, especially if there was a huge turnout. But I don't know. That's one of the things. Oh, he's hit his blue period.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think casuals, like, you know, I've only been to RDR. I haven't been into any of the Rock the Dragons or anything like that. I've only been into RDRs. That, I think, helps.
Was RDR also at the Speakeasy?
No.
That's two different events. That's two different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a separate event.
Okay. What was that one called, by the way?
All right, that's it. The 51st Speakeasy, man. That's the Oni Gang's. That's the, you know, like I'm, you know, like the founder of the Oni Gang, and like that's where we call home. You know what I mean? 51st Speakeasy, man. You know, like that's just our little hangout over there. Casuals, you know, like just it kind of just takes away from that tournament environment. You know, you can go have a drink and like just lighten up. You know, talking to other people. Just, you know, kind of just the vibe. You know, it's more so just, you know, I like to think of it as just players just, like kind of interacting with each other and just being more open, like with the alcohol and the drinks and then just the games and the money matches. Like it's a little bit of everything. It's like the underground version of RDR, but yeah, I mean, I definitely like it there. I think it's a lot more. I mean, like RDR, you go there for like kind of like that tournament standard, and I think Speakeasy, it's a little bit more like, I like it. It's more like it's just like the grit and the grimy, just like pull up a setup and just play. You know what I mean? Like just let's get better,
Okay. I kind of curious about the spark that happened on Facebook, right? Where there was a live talk between you, Ricky, and I apologize for the other two that were on there that I didn't get a chance to get.
My man Braden, I think it was my man Braden, and I think that was I forget my man's name. Smash Community. He's a TO.
Okay,
but I know you're talking about.
Okay, so I caught that on the page, and I was glued into the conversation because it seems like, and we talked about this on Ricky's too, but I feel like that your example of someone that feels like there's something going on in your point of view of something in the community, but you at a time didn't feel like, or wasn't the right time to speak out until now. What was the trigger of that? Because I bet it kind of caught a lot of people sideways about it, or am I the only one that caught it sideways and people knew it was coming?
No, I don't think a lot of people kind of anticipated that going on, and I think a lot of that was just over the years. I mean, there's just a lot of things that kind of were just under the rug, and like like it really they really weren't talked about, but like the ones that are really tapped in knew, and like that was just kind of one of those things where like I was hearing about the like the whole TO thing, and I initially I think how that kicked off was like their whole. They had like a segment talking about the commentators getting paid, and mind you, like, in a way, like a lot of that stuff on that episode kind of upset me because, like here it was, Ricky was, he was talking to one of his hosts about this, asking about like, what do you think, about paying players and so on and so forth. And this guy, I mean, like that he had on, I mean, he was hitting everything on the head, like how I was feeling at the time. And I'm like, that was just kind of my reassurance. Like, okay, I know I'm not tripping, like, here it is. I've been out here 6 years. I've commentated for you guys. I've never been fed. I've never been paid. I mean, like I got paid for like one event, right? And the 6 years I've been out here, and like so obviously I had to feel some type of way about that. I think anybody in my position would. I'm like doing everything for the free. I just felt like at least you could at least looked out for like a slice of pizza or something. You know what I mean? That was just how I was feeling on it.
So were you so in your mindset were you expecting it more than talking about it?
I was more so like I was just kind of like I was speaking how I felt on it, and like I think other people were just feeling for me. You know what I mean? Like like man, that's messed up. You know what I mean? And like I would just like tell them like, well, this is what it is. Like like they're saying this, but like honestly, this is what it is. Like like I'm just I'm just the type of guy, man. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for the scene. I'm gonna tell you just that, not even for the scene, just in real life. Like I'll just tell it how it is. Like I've been out here 6 years. I'm not I'm not pointing the fingers at Ricky or anybody. I'm just telling you from my perspective. Hey, this is what it is. I've been out here 6 years. I've never been paid. I've never been fed. There's only one person that's ever fed me out here, and that was Rashard. That was King of the Sticks. I forget the first year. Shout out to him. But yeah, at least like came through and was like, hey man, I can't pay you, but I can feed you. That's cool. Just looked out, because commentary was like, at the same time, we have to make those fight for those people in those positions, because commentators, people just kind of expect us sometimes. Like, I feel like I go to RDR and everybody just points at the chair and is like, sit, like do it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I don't mind doing it, but like, don't, like you gotta, at some point, we gotta meet halfway on it. I don't mind doing the little RDRs and things like that, but like the majors, look out for me. Like, I'm spending 4+ hours using my voice to like give people the play-by-play. I'm like, I think commentators deserve that. So like, if I'm a commentator, I got to fight for that, because I have other commentator friends. So you got to push the issue at some point. I think we're past that era where, people just kind of jump on and, hey, all right, that's cool. Like if you're serious about it and you think you're good and people like you, like, yeah, man, take it serious. Like,
okay. So regarding that, I mean, I only caught parts of that. I didn't even know that there was, disagreement or as you put, feeling a certain kind of way about it. So I and we kind of talked to Ricky about this a bit and got his perspective. Do you think some of it could be alleviated by more frank discussions up front as far as expectations on either side, or because I've been to a few RDRs where they're like, hey, who can commentate, or can someone commentate? I always took it as personally as like they would just to volunteer. But you brought up a good point. If you're good at something, and it's something I
know your value, basically. That's basically where you're getting at.
If you're good at something, you don't give it away for free. So, in your opinion, do you think that this can be alleviated by more frank discussions of compensation versus volunteering?
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely. This is something I've put in years for. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like it gets to that point, where I could just see if I came like flat out the gate and was like, look, you got to pay me right off the bat. You know what I mean? But like, I had been doing all this for free for years. You know what I mean? From coming to Lawton to coming to Norman to support every 2 weeks. This is before like RDR was even like a monthly. You know what I mean? Like it was like a bi-weekly thing. Like 1 week on, 1 week off, 1 week on, 1 week off. And I would drive up here every week and come up here and support these events. You know what I mean? Like get behind the mic, talk, just support, paying you my money. Like paying these tournaments. And granted, a lot of that, like they got me in like fees and stuff like that in terms of like sometimes like my waiver or something like that they would waive it, or like I wouldn't have to pay the entry fee. I'd still have to just pay for my game. But like, yeah, man, I think it gets to a point where like somebody's, like a lot of people don't know, like, even the first video promotion for Super Bit Wars, I put that together. I put that video together, like I didn't ask for any of that. I didn't ask to get paid. I just, hey, like this is for the love of the scene. I just really want you guys to be successful. I want to be successful. So here's a video, like nobody's going to do it. Well, here it is. It's for the free. This is the best I can give you. Like, let me know, like here's 2 versions of it with this song. Let me, which one do you like? What do you want me to change? Let me know, like I've been doing this. And, yeah, man, it just gets to that point. Yeah. Where you have to have those conversations. And I think going forward, I think they kind of just know where I stand on it now. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're either going to pay me or not pay me when we have majors. And if not, I understand. Like, it's just part of the game. Like, cool, like somebody else can do it. It's no big thing. And I don't want people just to think like I'm just looking out for myself when it comes to commentators. I think there's great commentators out here. I think there's a lot of people that have potential. They just don't put themselves in there or think it's an avenue to make it, in this industry. Like there's commentators that are making it, and you just gotta put yourself out there, man. And that's really what I took away from one of his guests he had on his show, was like, hey, you just have to kind of know your worth and know what you want, you know what I mean? And
how long did you feel about that before saying that? Because you said you've been doing it for so long. Would you say was like in the middle of doing the commentary years?
Yeah.
When did this spark? And how long were you holding on to that?
Yeah, I think it was like kind of like towards like the pandemic, like the pandemic era, even before that. But there were a lot of things leading up to that, like I think it was just kind of over time, like there were things that were leading up to that. Like I'll tell you guys another story. Like one time I was commentating, and I spoke this a little bit earlier when we were talking about that. But like, I'm showing up to commentate, and I'm at RDR, and I see a message on like the table, and it's like, hey, don't say anything about King of the Sticks. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, I've been out here 6 years. I've seen Richard and Ricky like when it was first the thing, like when they were first running together. So I'm like, damn, like this is somebody you've known for this long. And then like the fact to have this sign out here, I'm like, so I'm, afterwards, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking like, why are we not saying nothing about this? And then like afterwards, I'm talking to him about it. And I'm like, so what's the deal with that? Like, why couldn't I say anything about it? And, like, I guess they were having their fallout or whatever the case may be. But still, man, to me in my heart, I was like, man, you just don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, regardless, like, you just, hey, regardless what you guys got going on, like, he's out here trying to do the same thing you're doing. I don't know why it even got to that point or whatever. You guys have been through thick and thin. It shouldn't even have got to that point. And then, like, I agree. I get it. They say, like, they had things going on, but, like, Richard was just at that event by himself. Ricky wasn't there, Matthew, all those guys that usually do those tournaments, they weren't there. And then, like, they're at the Innovation Hub streaming Luigi's Mansion. And I'm like, come on, man, like the day of his tournament, like, it's just like we got to show love to each other like that. So it was a build up, you know what I mean? Just from like consistent, okay, like, I know I remember that, I'm gonna let that slide. Okay, and then this happened, all right, I'll try to let that slide. And just eventually over time got to the point where like,
just
I'm
that
done letting this slide. Like it's just like, no, we're not gonna do this anymore,
Okay, so from that, it sounds like that's more of a if personal issues come between or they affect the overall health of the fighting game community.
Yeah, definitely.
You take exception to that. And also going back to to Jeremy's question, kind of throwing another slant at it. Did you was there a time, was it around the pandemic like you said, or was it even before that where you were starting to feel like, I guess, your talents were taken for granted? Because you said not even, a slice of pizza or something like that, just some forethought towards the time or the effort that you took.
I think during the time I really didn't care because I had just so much drive to make the scene what it is. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't caring about the money because in my mind, I'm like, the money's going to come. You know what I mean? Like you just do the right thing now. Eventually the money will come to you if you're really just true to what you're about. And that just is for anything, whether it's having a podcast, whether it's just pursuing what you want to do in life, you don't do it for the money. You do it because you just genuinely like doing it. And that was my thing. Like I genuinely like just showing love to the scene. Like I said, I was driving out and I would come home. I would come out here and support. And then like I would go to the games after RDR, stay out here till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock and be on the road at 3 a.m. going back to Lawton. Like, I was doing this like month after month.
And that's why it's weird when I ask you like, how powerful your name is. And it's like, I would think people know who you are based on the drive that you have done.
Like that. I think a lot of people, I don't like to toot my own horn in that way, but like I think a lot of people recognize, like, man, this guy has been grinding, like for real. Like, all my Lawton friends, shout out to them. They know, like, whenever there was ATE, All Things Entertainment out there, whenever it's the Omega Tech, all that, I've been around. Whether it was from here to there. I've just kind of seen all the scenes just come up.
I think you could be humble and also be a little cocky about who you are a little bit. I feel you could do that. Not over the top, like, don't talk to me, talk to my representative kind of thing. But I'm talking to more like, hey, thank you for recognizing me and everything like that. But it kind of makes you feel warm and fuzzy of, acknowledgement.
It's definitely a thing to where like the scene, like it's like, when something happens, a lot of times, a lot of people in the scene are in my inbox. Well, what do you think, Coop? I'm just like, damn, yeah. Why do people come to me? I'm just like, I'm just like, hey man, I'm just in it, just like you're in it, But like the people, I guess people just see something in you and go, hey man, like that guy is like, he represents something. And like Tekken, that was just, I didn't ask for that, I just like, that was just passion for the game. And I'm like, I was putting a lot into it, like I was running tournaments and trying to throw stuff in and trying to, get the Discord. I mean, look at the Discord now, the FGC lounge, there's like 100+ people in there. And like, I remember when it was only like 12 of us and we just started and it said, hey, we're going to try this, we're going to just build this up. And gradually, month after month.
Do you want to go further with it?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
What do you personally want to do? Do you want to go off and do commentary professionally? Do you want to start running kind of your own pre-tournaments in your own way? Like, what does Devin Cook want to do for fighting community?
I think for me, like, I like a lot of people ask me that all the time, like, well, like, what's that look like for you? And for me, like, I don't have to be. I tell people all the time, I don't have to be that guy, and I don't have to be that Tasty Steve. I don't have to be that Say Jam. Like, I just would rather just like get love in my own backyard. And at the end of the day, like when you come to Oklahoma, you're going to know, you know what I mean? Like I don't have to be.
There's that cockiness. There you go. When you come, my name.
Like, yeah. Like I don't, like it's cool. Like I like where I'm at. I get love in my backyard. And I think that's all I really need at the end of the day. Like as long as I get love here and I support here, like I'd like to just have that to where like eventually, like we get that, like we are that scene. And I think we're slowly starting to get that recognition, even with the Oni clan, the Oni tag, like, those Tekken guys see that, from Raybone playing to David and all them tagging up, from Tara to competing in the Friday night fights with the females, like the name is catching a buzz. And I'm like, damn, that's these guys, like they're just wearing the tag and representing, but they're representing for the state.
Okay. So let's get to that conversation here. This is now we heard Ricky's part. Now we're going to get into this. In your point of view of this, why is it so low percentage that we don't see a lot of females into the fighting game communities as we see in tournaments? What is your point of view of that?
I mean, like you just kind of have, to me, I think a lot of maybe women like feel uncomfortable just going into an event with a bunch of guys. I think it's a bunch of factors. I think not a lot of women play video games. Like they play, like even my girl, for example, she plays like Mario and stuff like that. But she's not heavy into it like I'm into it. But she can appreciate that I appreciate it. So I think there's a lot to do with that. It just kind of just depends on the genre. I definitely think that's not to discriminate or anything like that. I think women in the gaming community is dope. Because Tara, for example, she kicks ass. She kicks my ass, and I'm just like, damn, you gotta hold that, man. But it's cool. I think it's dope. Like, hey, man, you're into the same thing I'm into. Like, do you think
mainly it's uncomfortable, like for women to go in there and then they see, not so much of guys, but guys kind of like, like
hyper aggressive.
I think dudes are thirsty. I think dudes could be like thirsty. Yeah,
that's what I'm like. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you had a bunch of guys, you see a girl, like it's a girl, like they worship, like they never seen a girl in their lives, like kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm wondering your point of view. Have you seen that before?
Oh yeah. I mean, like you see it all the time, man. Like I think guys are just like, that's just a lot of times. Let's just be real. A lot of people that play these fighting games and like especially these anime like fighters, like they fantasize about stuff like that. Like I'm a girl that plays the game that I play. Like that's just like in their mind, like that's the cloud nine. You're there. It doesn't get any better than that.
They want that
there's nothing wrong with that, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, you've seen that Netflix anime High Score Girl. They want that. They want that. That it's like, oh snap, yeah, she's whooping my ass. Let me see if I can get with her real quick.
Yeah.
I'm kind of inclined. I don't know if it's strictly guys playing anime games. Devin, you might start some beef on that one.
I had to give the analogy on it, but I don't mean it just in that way. I don't mean it like that. I don't want anybody listening. I mean, like, just in general though, like for real, like I think it's just that curiosity. It's just like the same way guys like, are like curious to women that watch anime, like, damn, like she watches anime, because not a lot of women watch anime. And I'm not saying
I think that's different now than back in the day. I think back in the day that was a different outlook of it, but now since social media and everything like that, I think they're all coming out of the woodworks. You know what I mean?
I think they've always been there, but now it's more accepted.
It's more accepted.
I mean, I was telling my girl, I was like, because we were talking about geeks and dorks, and I was like, babe, black folks are some of the largest amounts of geeks and dorks out there. If you not, when every other, music producers talking about they got inspiration from Dragon Ball and everything like that. When you see how everybody talks, talking about Dragon Ball, you can make a saying. You can go to the fucking South Side, Oklahoma City, make a saying reference. Everybody knows what you're talking about. Yeah. It's there's that geekness that into that anime, into video games, that it's always been there, but it's just more accepted now.
100%.
Like you're saying, social media, you can find more people who are like you. Almost every girl I know or have talked to has at least one favorite anime.
Yeah.
And not just what some people, quote unquote call girly anime, Prince of Tennis, but they're into like, no, I fucks with that Attack on Titan. I fucks with that,
I think also what's crazy is sometimes it could be a little bit toxicity in the community. Much. And Devin, I asked Ricky this, but Ricky doesn't really notice it. And I think because he's so busy hosting and moving stuff around, he's not really noticing too much of it. But since you're a player in that point of view, have you seen a lot of toxicity over the times during the tournaments that you attended?
Rather towards women or just towards people in general?
Yeah, man. Like you definitely, you have your moments, right? Like there's moments that definitely like, kind of rub me the wrong way. Perfect example. Like there was a player that came out, to our scene, right? And like, he's like in my ear talking me up and everything like that. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just that's cool, bro. Yeah. And he was like, let's just be honest, man. Like a lot of the Tekken guys out here just aren't that great, And I took offense to that because I'm like, hey, man,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, man, like it doesn't, regardless of what you think, like these guys are out here just trying to get better and just have a good time. Like it's not that serious, like where are your trophies? You know what I mean? Like who are you to come in and like try to tell somebody else like who's good and who's not good, and then like sure enough he just 0-2 gets bounced out. I'm like, yeah, okay, like
There's an online player.
Black. Yeah, so like I just stuff like that, like that was just one instant, and then like like this guy got on social media, was making a big rant, and I was like, come on, man, like just leave it alone. And like another thing is like the disrespect. I don't tolerate, and you see it more on social media than you do in the actual like events. You'll see it on social media before you see it probably before an event, but a lot of times those guys bring, that they bring what happened on social media and they bring that to the events, and people are just in their back of the mind like, damn, that's the guy. You know what I mean? So I think social media is definitely like a way for stuff like that to get started, because 9 times out of 10, if you get like on that Oklahoma fighting game page, like for a while it was making me mad too, because like that was another thing I was telling Ricky and those guys about, were like the mods on that channel. I'm like, hey, like, you guys will let all the toxic posts just fly off the radar. And like, I get people, people get a kick out of reading some toxic stuff. It's just like that's just social media, like people they get glued and, oh man, look at this going down. Like these two are
people
going
like
at it,
like people like there's people out there that just love drama just to love
Chaos
drama.
and drama.
Yeah. Some people just liking that. Some people just feed into that. And like, a lot of times this stuff would happen. I'm like, more of the positive posts would like, they weren't getting any likes or any comments or anything. But whenever there was some drama on the scene, like it was 100+ thread page, and I'm like, here we go, man. Like you guys got to cut that off. It's just cancer. You got to cut it out, man. And it's not. You got scenes on the outside looking at us going, damn, like these dudes. Man,
have you ever had to lay the hammer down on somebody that went a little bit too far, either like through discrimination, like for instance, like Bear Claw, like he mentioned a little peak that he had to deal with certain situations about his homosexuality. Have you ever saw that, and did you manage to do something about it or anything, for example?
I had a guy one time, like I have a good friend, man. Shout out to my boy Artemis the Red. He was he's kind of like a heavier guy, and like I had a friend that, we were trying to run this tournament. We were running the Oni League, and it was like a weekly tournament. And, like me and him were like getting off on Fridays, like coming straight off of work, throwing this tournament till like 11 o'clock, 4 hours, like as soon as I get off, I'm sitting down here, like no time for myself. Whole Friday just wiped. And did this for 4 weeks, like did the whole points, all this stuff we were keeping up with, running PlayStation 4 and PC at the same time, like really just trying to include everybody, like have it. And man, like he told my homie, like this player out here, I won't mention his name, but like, like told my homie one time I get diabetes, and like already he's a heavy set guy. Now like to him, he may not have thought anything of it, but I'm like, hey, in my eyes, I'm like, hey, this is my friend. You're not going to disrespect him like that. So, I came on a post, and we're on the Oklahoma fighting game page, and I told him, I was like, hey, man, I just don't play that. If it had been me, I would have smacked the shit out of you if I would have seen you, and everybody was like, ooh, but I got out of
drama.
I don't like getting like that, but like, I'm not going to let you just disrespect somebody like that. I'm like, if you're going to say that on the internet, you better be ready to say it to his face whenever you guys see each other. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like I don't play that. Like I just like, and me and the guy, prior were cool. I never had a problem with him, but like it was just the disrespect. I'm like, like don't disrespect somebody like that, man. And like you're better than that. But hey, like, yeah, it's just like the old saying, fight today, friends tomorrow. Like if I had to settle that, like so be it. But I don't want to go that route, obviously. But you can't. People have to learn. You just can't talk to people nowadays a certain way. You just can't. Like with all the protest stuff we have going on, and like all the racial discrimination. Like you just really have to watch how you talk to people nowadays. And yeah, man, it was just really disrespectful to me.
Okay. Yeah, it's not just a fighting tournament. It's in a little bit of everything, if you really be honest about it. And the only way to figure that out is the community has to work together on it. You can't expect one person to police everything. Everybody has to look out for each other in that kind of aspect.
Everybody has to be willing to speak up for each other.
And that's how I felt
up for
about
each
it. I was
other.
like, I'd rather say that and like, like, okay, somebody tell me like we got to ban your post because you like threatened somebody, than rather just let him talk to him like that and just not did anything about it at all. Like I mean, like he handled it himself, obviously, but like, I didn't appreciate it because I'm like, hey, dude, like here we are trying to run this for you guys, and his argument was, hey, like it was just the spare of the moment. You asked me to play, but like you could have said no. Like I asked you, but that doesn't mean you have to play. I'm just like, hey, we're looking for players. But
wait, was he really trying to was this person really trying to reason that you asked him to play, so you got to deal with the stuff he says?
Yeah. So that was just like the thing, and I just I'm not having it. Like I mean, and I've known the guy. I've known him like I met him through Tekken. And I just had to, I just let him know, like, I'm just not playing that, bro. I'm for real, like, I don't want to do that. But hey, like, you're not gonna talk crazy to people out here really trying to do this and take time out of their Friday to run this for you guys. It's just like there's levels to this stuff, man, and a lot of people just don't have that home training.
Okay. Has it ever been a time you just feel like that? You know what? I'm done. Have you ever had that moment ever fly through your head?
I mean, like, it's funny that you're asking me these questions because, like,
welcome to the show.
No, it's cool. I really appreciate being on here and like just answering these questions. And again, man, thank you for having me. I talked to Warguts about that, recently, and I just like I feel like I've lost my spark, here in the FGC, and that's not because of. I mean, I just kind of got a lot going on in life, I feel like, but in the same sense, it's like when stuff like that happens, like this whole situation with the commentary thing and, like just feeling underappreciated, a little bit, like it takes that out of you. It takes it out of you, and like that's kind of how I felt, was just a little underappreciated. And, I'm just like that guy that is genuinely like, I'm not in it for the money. Like I've had these locals at my house, I've had people in my own home that I don't even know, like just, hey, come up, play some Tekken. I got water for you,
I got some water.
I try to compensate. I'll order some pizza, like I've tried, hey, we're going to do a light tournament at my house. Like I got $20 on this. You know what I mean? Whoever wins right now, everybody play each other, round robin. Here it is, $20. I've done that for people, I've just always, I feel like I've been that guy. And I think a lot of times, like, I mean, the people who've been out here know, but like, it definitely feels like sometimes it's been underappreciated, and it takes it out of you, cause it's like, well, if it goes unrecognized and people forget, how easily they forget, it's like, why even try sometimes? But you got to keep going regardless, though. You got to keep going.
I think also, even for me doing my podcast and how many shows I do on my network and everything like that, wink, wink, check out all my shows. Anyways, so
shameless plug.
Thank you. I'm going to spark that right on the screen after this. Anyways, no, I think it comes with age. I think that the older you get, I'm not going to do podcasting forever. I'm not going to be doing all this forever. I'm just trying to do the most I can until it's time for me to move on. And I feel like that's the same thing with you. Like, you're not going to run these tournaments forever. I mean, look at you. You just got a house. You're still doing with school. You're going to work. This passion is something that's not going to go anywhere, but at the same time, it's not your main objective, right?
You have to rearrange your priorities from time to time. I mean,
yeah,
kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. I would love to be able to play more Tekken like every day, but my mindset, like you say, sometimes your heart's just not in it. You don't want to play it or anything, especially playing online. You know how it is. And the other thing, got other stuff going on.
No.
You got. I'm already going into old man hobbies. I already told you about that.
Yeah, I heard your collection.
Yeah, old man hobbies. So, what do you think would help in reigniting that spark? Like, if let's say in the next 6 months, what do you think could reignite that spark?
I think it's one of those things where I think the offline has a lot to do with that. I think maybe just getting that environment back just behind the commentary and just seeing the vibes and seeing everybody just, hey man, it's good to see you again. Just it's the small stuff with me, man. It's nothing too far. Like just, hey, Cooper, it's just really good to see you again. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we really missed you, dog. Like we really value you out here. It's that type of stuff. And I think a lot of times with players, like we all kind of need that from each other. Like whether it's like playing Tekken, like like I tell you, Akumanoko, like I like your Josie, man. I like seeing you play. It's like, man, when I see you, I'm like, man, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you playing Josie. It's good to see you out here, like just in the fight, back in it, just trying to get a little bit of it in. Like, we're all busy, so I just appreciate the little time that you have to come out and just show love. I mean, to me, that goes the long way. That's the stuff I remember for people, like, hey, well, who supported you whenever you were doing this or that? And I think just like support. Like, hey man, like we need you out here, like, or whether it's the commentary or the gaming or whatever, I just you just kind of need that motivation to get back in it. And this podcast, definitely, man, this has just been like I said, I was like, hey man, can we do this at 6:45? I was excited. I was going down the road like, it was hype. I mean, this is good. I'm like, man, I really I enjoy doing this stuff. I do. And just being on the show, like I enjoy this a lot.
So I guess I never asked, how did the name become who you are? How'd you get the name? What's the origin of your name?
Man, Koopa G. So like, man, it's been kind of everything. Like, I was a big like if you live in this area, like back in Houston, like the rap era, like I was a big Chameleonaire fan, like a huge.
Good for you. Good for you.
You know what I'm saying? So like he would always say like Koopa, and like I was just like Coop. I like that, So then like it was like King Coop 67. I was playing Xbox 360, Xbox Live, like Halo 2 era, just that was my tag for the longest. And when I got ready to brand, like just like myself, and I'm like, well, like King Coop 67, I don't want that. Like I'm trying to like make my YouTube and everything like that. I'm like, man, I just want a Koopa G. I was like, just the G of all Coops, man, Koopa G. So like that's just how it ran. I was like, all right, let's just run it, Koopa G. Like I like that. And
okay,
like that's just everybody. Just all my gaming friends. That's just all they've ever called me is Coop. Like that's just what they've known me by, Coop. Like here's Coop. And,
okay,
and so just stuck.
So we are almost at the end of our conversation, but there is some fun, quick questions, kind of spice it up to end this up. So, tournament. What is the weakest game at the tournament to you, and how can we grow that?
Ooh, man. I would say, oh man, probably the Street Fighter scene. I don't even know.
Really?
It's like I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of like a competition out here.
Really? Okay.
I would say Street Fighter, and I say that I say that from the perspective because when I was playing, like there were guys out here like Zoda. Ice, like those guys, like I think it was a lot more deep back then, but it's just kind of hard, like when you just don't have the player base for it, so like I don't know how to improve that. I think like for the Tekken community, I know a lot of that growth had to just do with like, and I'm going to toot my horn on this one. I'm sorry, like it was really like just the drive me and my guy Davidism and those guys like FBM and all those guys had, like and Raybone, like. We were just meeting up every week, like go talk to any of those guys. They'll tell you like at one point in time, you could count how many people were going to RDR on like one hand, like, and, we were the guys just coming out week after week after week after week. And like people were seeing it. Like we were going to Dallas, Red Bull Conquest, then at the Mavericks Gaming Center. And then we'd come back here. And then we were in Atlanta, like just moving with this game. And I think that kind of got people interested, like, well, damn, like there's like these guys are really promoting it. Let me get into it. So I think a lot of those games, believe it or not, it's all community, man. Like you have to really just put the time in for your community, and there's just got to be that guy there that's just there constantly. Like I feel I was, just putting the time in to try to help the scene grow. It's not an easy. It's not an easy spot to be in. It's not easy by any means, but like, yeah, you got to have that representative out here that's really just pushing the scene forward, like whatever game they like, and like how Kellen is with Guilty Gear, just having those casuals at the speak, for Guilty Gear, get those guys in it, get them involved, like, push it.
Get a base for Guilty Gear Strive.
Okay, so for a person that's coming into play fighting game for the first time, sometimes they can get a vibe when somebody they're about to go against sit down. I don't know. Maybe that's just my imagination, but like, I imagine myself sitting down and then the person I'm about to come in, I don't know. For my mindset, they have this vibe when they come in and they're sitting down. You're like, ooh, this guy looks like he's going to be a beast. Or this guy is going to be.
You're feeling your opponent.
Yeah, you're feeling in the character he picks. Right? My question to you is, have you ever sat down against somebody and just gave them that vibe of like, Just not, you don't have to do anything. It's just the way you sat down, the way you got yourself set up. You got put fear in them a little bit or anything like that. You ever got that look on him? He's like, oh, so he's scared of me. He's scared of me.
I think there's a story for that.
Okay.
And, like, my boy, he's gonna probably hate me for telling this, but like, shout out to my man FBM, man. My boy Button Masters. We were at the Innovation Hub one time, man, and we were playing in this Tekken tournament. And I think this was like winners. I think this was like losers. This was like the play grand finals, you know what I'm saying? So whoever won this game, it was best of 5. Yeah, best of 5, you know? So like, man, he is just drilling me, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm got my headphones on, I'm all in the zone, I'm sitting down, I'm playing, and like me and this guy usually play all the time. And like we talk about this set all the time, you know, like I was just playing, you know, and like it just got to the point in the set where I was just getting pissed. You know, I'm just like, man, you know what? I just took the headphones off like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even need these headphones. Get these headphones off my head. And like he tells me, he's like, man, he was like, when you took those headphones off, man, he's like, I knew you were just serious then. And like, yeah, he was up 2-0, man. I just ran him back 3 games straight. Like,
oh wow,
put it on him. You know what I mean? And like, it's just like you just get to that point. I don't know, like people, you know, you can't show any emotion. I always say when you're playing fighting games, like because people feed off of that. When you're getting frustrated, if I know you're getting frustrated, I keep hatchet kicking you, and you're not blocking. I'm gonna keep doing it. Like,
collect those
ankles. Block it. You know what I mean?
Who were the do you remember the fighters? Like, who'd you pick and who he picked?
He was probably playing Yoshi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's playing Yoshimitsu. And
okay.
Like, that's a lore in that game. That's a lore matchup. Brian Fury Yoshimitsu. Yeah. You know, so like there just comes with more to that. Like it's like internally and externally. You know what I mean? Like in the game, I'm like, yeah, my character doesn't like your character, and then like I like you as a person, man. But right now, I don't like you as a person. You know what I mean? Like you're kicking my ass. So like, let me take these headphones off and let me just do this. You know, and like we shook hands. You know, like you don't like losing, but that's my boy, and like, you know, like we just, hey, good game, man. Like you played that back, well played, you know, and yeah, that's how it is, man. Steph GC, welcome.
Okay. Any questions before I add on?
I will say, I mean, because I've noticed a lot of the theme has been, you know, hey, community stepping up, even if it's just one person, consistency, show up. You know, half the job is showing up.
Yeah.
So I will say, you know, we got an RDR coming July 31st. You know, it's good. First in-person RDR in over a year. Do you think that will be the time for someone else to maybe step in and step up and try and drive more community growth? Or do you think the anticipation of in-person's already there? What do you think, or what would you like to see happen at this upcoming RDR?
Man, I think it's. I mean, like you were at the Speakeasy, right? When we did the first Speakeasy when we came back, and like it's just that vibe, like just seeing everybody again, and hey, man, how you been? You know, like just getting able to just see your homies, you know, like that your FGC homies. These guys, they may not be people that you talk to on a daily, but like you know their faces, you know, like you know these faces in the community, and just getting all back together and playing and just really representing that, I think, I think people are hungry for it. I think people are itching to get back into it. You know, like we had a nice break over COVID. You know, some people picked up other hobbies or things they like to do, and you know, a lot of times, like people took breaks, you know, from like playing the fighting game. So like, yeah, it's just the time to get back in the flow of it, and you know, come back out and represent. You know, shout out to those guys. You know, RDR. And Speakeasy, you know, like I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be at Friday. I'll probably be at the Speakeasy Saturday. I don't know if I'll be. I close that weekend on the house, you know. So
by the way, for the listeners, by the time this airs, do not go that Friday. Do not go that Friday, okay?
So Casuals at the Speak is on July 30th, Friday, July 30th, and RDR is going to be down in Norman.
There you go. All right, good. Yeah. I don't want no excuses. Like, oh, I'm going right now. No.
Don't do it. You might be the only one there. But man, just go out and support those guys. Represent that, man. Because if you don't support the locals, like, then who's gonna support it? You know what I mean? Like, that's just it's really a no-brainer. You know, it's really not that hard to think about. If we don't come out, it doesn't happen. You know, like the same way round one's asking, like, hey, why can't we get anybody in? It's the same way. Like you gotta support it. You have to just support it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I might go back on that thread and just say, hey, maybe round one should have some, you know, events to lure players out, or have informal meetups, encourage informal meetups there, because it's open till 2.
Yeah.
So I mean, do something on a late Saturday, or choose your work with the local people to choose a Saturday that's not tournament wise and do something. But yeah, all right. So you definitely want to see that fellowship, that reunification of fellowship. And do you want to see some? How do you feel about dark horse, like new competitors? People who haven't really been seen in the scene and they just come out of nowhere and just start taking things.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like the growth from some of the younger players that were kind of just coming up before all this happened. Like what have they been doing the past year? Have they been learning the game? Have they gotten better? Like you just haven't seen these. Even when we were at the Oni house, man, and we were throwing this tournament here, shout out to everybody that came through. There were some skulls being cracked at the Oni house. I was actually shocked, like Davidism getting put out, San Fran, man. I'm like, ooh, okay, so I'm curious to see how a lot of that is gonna, portray out in the bracket wise. I mean, we speak easy, it's just kind of casually just show up, play, but bracket wise, where are we? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be Raybone out here just taking everything again? And then just it's going to be interesting, man, for sure.
Okay. So I'm going to go into my last question.
Okay.
And I guess it's the question I should have asked at the very beginning. But how'd you get into fighting games?
Oh, man. So, oh, man. Fighting games. So let me see. My man, light-skinned Avatar, that's my best friend. That's like my best friend. I've known this man for a very long time. Like
shout out to him.
Very, very long time. And he had Mortal Kombat Deception for Xbox 360, right? And like I remember him that was back when like Mortal Kombat, you had like the 3 variations. You had like 2 stances and then like a weapon, right?
Yeah.
And like I would watch him play this. He was like a real big Mortal Kombat fan back then, and like he got me into Mortal Kombat, like I played like back on the Super Nintendo and stuff, but like he was the first guy I was seeing like do combos that like I didn't think was like possible in fighting games. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I would watch him do it, like, and before I would just go to the cabinets, like in the malls and play like the Tekken Tag machines, Tekken 2s and, Tekken 3, so on and so forth. You're just mashing, you don't know what you're doing. But I would watch him do these combos in a way to where it was like, damn, like, man, like you're really putting that in the controller. Like, how are you doing that? And like, I got curious and like, that was like kind of like the first stepping stone, other than that was like the true stepping stone into like learning combos and things like that. But before that, I mean, I was playing like Rival Schools, man, Power Stone.
Shout out to Power Stone.
Yeah, Dreamcast era, man, PlayStation 2, Third Strike. I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We would just play all these fighting games. We played just hella fighting games, and it was me and him, and that was our weekends. We would just all the time, like it didn't matter what it was, like we just played. It was just that rivalry, you know what I mean? Like that was that was my original rival, and we just played all these games, man. And then like MKX came out, and I had just got back from the military. I was gone for like 5 years. So, like in between that, I really wasn't playing fighting games. And then I came back and MKX had came out, and me and MK9 it's funny now that I think about it. MK9 had just came out before I left the basic training. So I didn't get really a lot of time to play MK9. But then by the time I had came back, out of the army and everything like that, MKX was out. So then he was really into MKX. I remember the day he brought it home. We were just buying it, and he bought it, and we were playing it, and from there, like kind of went to my first event, Ricky and them, Tokyo and Tulsa. That was back in 2014, 2015. First tournament, played Smash, played MKX.
Were you nervous the first time going in there?
Yeah, yes and no. Because
okay.
like it was like it was like kind of like that vibe. It set that stage of like, hey, this was my first tournament. This is like my first time being in an environment, and I didn't know people played games like this. Like I'm like, man, I didn't know people took this serious like this. And like I'm playing like this girl, my first game, I'm playing this girl, and I'm playing Melina. I just brutality roll the girl's legs off, and everybody's like, oh man, you ain't have to do her like that. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, hey man, like, hey, you in the bracket, you getting washed, man.
Equal opportunity.
So like, equal, yeah.
So like, like I just played, man, and like I like that rush. I like those guys behind me booing. I'm like, yeah, I like y'all. Keep booing, like that was just that feeling, and like it was kind of like a drug. And like I went to that tournament, and then like the story just unfolded from there, man. Like we would just go all over, and here I am, 2021, like Tekken 7, and came a long way, man. We definitely came a long way.
All right. Well, Devin, we got to wrap this up, man.
Yeah, man.
We went down the road of Devin. We went bob and weaving out of this. I want to thank you so much for making the time to jump on into the show and give us your adventure and your stories. And I can't wait to air both of these shows in the week and let our fighting community kind of just hear one of the top big names in there. Yeah, I'm gonna hype your name up.
No, I said it before here. Luminaries. These are luminaries of the local scene.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate that, man. I definitely appreciate those words, man. And like I said, man, I just try to have the scene's best foot going forward. You know what I mean? Like I just try to do what's right by those guys and there's guys that's been here way longer than me. That deserve that recognition. And I feel like a lot of times they don't. But hey, like if people, they just gravitate towards your boy Coop. I mean, like I'm just here for y'all. I'm for the people. That's it, man. I just want to see the scene grow, prosper.
He the Messiah?
I will say I would definitely just on personal tip. I'll probably be dropping requests in the Oklahomies Discord for I want some 1st to 5s with people and some Tekken. Just I need to get my endurance up, endurance on long sets up.
Well, for all the listeners, our listening spots, where to go. We're everywhere, YouTube and whatnot. But I don't think a lot of people know where they can find Mr. Cook at. Where can they find you, Koopa G?
Man, you can find me on Instagram as d.cook92, d.cook92. Twitch, man, I be on Twitch. I stream a lot. So if you're on stream or if you're on Twitch or anything like that, Twitch TV/KoopaGTV. That's it. Real simple, just Koopa G and then add the TV. Social media, Facebook. I'm in the Oklahoma Fighting Game page. So, under Devin Cook. So if you just see me there, drop a like, drop a what's up. And that's just where I be, man.
Yeah. And if you ever determine you see Devin, make sure you say hi to him there or, talk to his representative because he will not talk. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Come up and say what's up, man. I hate that. Just to add that on the closing, like I hate when I go to tournaments and like, it's just like nobody wants to. People know who you are, but they don't come up and say hi. Like we make eye contact.
We actually talked. We actually talked about that with Ricky. We talked about our certain him. Is people consider him very intimidating? And I guess maybe in your case too. I think maybe you're very intimidating. They're like, ooh, I don't know. He's a well-known person here. I don't know.
I mean, he rolling
man. I don't want that to be the vibe at all. Just come up.
Oni
and
League, baby. You Oni League.
Just come up and say what's up, man. I'm pretty easy to talk to. I'm pretty chill, man. I like to just laugh, have a good time. Like that's just me, man. Like I just be shooting the shit when I be at these tournaments and stuff, dude. Yeah. Like I talk shit in about the foreground, like get mixed, but like I mean it in goodwill.
Just don't be that guy. Just don't be that guy that feels like, this is the right time to talk to him while he's playing a fighting game against somebody. Hey, hi, my name is. I'm in the middle of a game. What are you doing? What are you doing?
That is part of it, though. You got to be able to tune people out.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially
someone giving you their business card while you're
that's
doing
one thing for new people that come in the fighting community. Don't just think you could just go up and say hi to somebody that they're in the middle of something. If they're doing commentary, like, hey, hi, my name is such and such. I'm commentating. What? Really? You thought this was the time? Know the room. Yeah. Read the room.
Just come up, man. Just say what's up, man. Like, don't be like that. Just like we're all in it together. I see you guys all the time. Like, if I ever see you or just I see people all the time. I'm like they make eye contact. I'll just be like, what's up, Jersey man, or what's up, whoever. Like if I know you, like I just say what's up, man. Just dap and pound, keep it moving. It's cool.
Okay. Well, with that, thank you so much. Remember, you can always check out all our other great content. And with that, thank you so much. And we will see you next time on the Mini Boss Chat.